translate across the plates and that this was too complex to understand how fault zones move and how earthquakes translate across the plates and the plate boundaries. They said it was impossible because, again, they said earthquake forecasting was impossible because it's too complex. I don't buy that, and there's nothing too complex. If they can split the atom, if teams of people can split the atom, and a single scientist can make a discovery about relativity and physics, then I would dare say that there is nothing too complex for groups of people or for single individuals. Sky's the limit, and that we can't limit ourselves by some dogma that says that earthquakes can't be forecast. While the same people in positions of power who are saying earthquakes can't be forecast or who run the agencies are drinking an earthquake juice made of questionable substances to somehow be prepared on the night of an earthquake. I would tell all my viewers, the only earthquake juice you might need would be a little bit of coffee. Just to give yourself a little bit of oomph right now while you're in your house so you can go around and put a latch on your cabinets and so that you can prepare your children and prepare your loved ones for what to do in the case of an earthquake. I can tell you this, you wouldn't be smearing something on the wall and looking for signs from above as to whether or not an earthquake's going to strike or what to do when an earthquake hits. And that to me is the most troubling part. Because if these people are going to be put in charge of the agencies, and I'm the one that's tasked with reporting this stuff to you guys online, you guys have tasked me with doing this, nobody else. You, my viewers, have put me up to the challenge of being here every day to confront hocus pocus in science, whatever it is. You know, and in this case, I've got to say something. So anyways, that all being said, earthquakes everywhere else on the planet, let's just quickly run it down. Japan's still silent. Day number 5 of no earthquake activity in Japan, Taiwan, anywhere across the area. This is highly unusual. You ask anybody in Japan, do you normally go multiple days, let's say a week, without any earthquakes above 4.0 in Japan, or the whole area, the whole Northwest Pacific? Nothing above 4.0 in 5 days' time. Go back 5 days, here we go, this is the last movement. That's abnormal. In 5 days' time, we'd see multiple 4s and multiple 5s strike in this location. Well, it's gone quiet. Quiet in an earthquake-prone area is extremely bad news. We don't want to see silence in an area that's prone, where there's normally a release on a daily basis, and that release stops or becomes incredibly smaller. That means the area's in pressure, especially when both sides are moving on either side of it heavily. Up in Kamchatka, Russia, where the 5.4 is, all the earthquakes going over across the Aleutian Islands in Alaska, volcanic eruptions in Kamchatka, then down to the south, volcanic eruptions down at Sinabung, a whole cluster of 4s and 5s across Philippines going down through Malaysia into Indonesia, another round of deep earthquakes over here north of Fiji, right in the middle of 5.0, also right next to Bagana volcano erupting. Okay, so we would expect to see movement up here, and it hasn't hit, which means the threat of a larger earthquake is building in the middle point between the two zones that have moved. Well, again, we got our 4.9 and 4.7 and 4.7. Look at all the 4.7s, by the way. Just so many 4.7s. But we got our 4.9 and 4.7 to the south and a 5.4 to the north. Well, the area in between here, the halfway point, is relatively at the bend, maybe just 100 miles across, going northeast of Tokyo out to the Izu Ridge. Halfway point between the two zones that have moved. Okay? Size-wise, magnitude-wise, a cluster, multiple clusters of 5s to the south and deep earthquakes to the south, and 5s to the north with volcanic eruptions. Well, if we take all the 5s and add them together, that's at least going to take us into a 6. And then you add in the deep earthquakes, that'll take us up a whole nother magnitude. We go from, let's say, 6 to 6.5 in the middle point here. It could go larger. But I'm going to put a cap on it right now at the 6.5 range because of the 4.5s to the south. Deep 4.5 leads to shallow 5.5 to 6.5. So we'd be topping out at that point, okay? Topping out. Where else? Where else are we watching here? Over into Asia also, we're going to see 5s creep over. This is interesting. Between the 4.6 up in China and the 5.1 down in Sumatra, we'll go to our halfway point there. We go up along the Himalayan range. And again, guys, this takes us east of Nepal. I guess that's technically India into, is that Bangladesh? Just west of Myanmar? India, Bangladesh, right at the Nepal border region. It's going to be a combination between the 4.6 and 5.1, which puts us to 5.146. All right, so 5.1, mid-range 5.1, if you really want to be technical on what to watch for. Okay, and again, it's a rough addition between the two. Then we get back over into Europe. And guys, like I said, today, quieting down. The topping out at 4.3, I think nobody should be shocked by that because of yesterday's 4.3. You see yesterday's 4.3 right here on the map. All right? Well, that led to a near 4.3 today. They downgraded it, whatever. But today, swarm cut in half. 2 new deep earthquakes back behind all this means we could see a shallow 3.6 to 4.6 within the next 48 hours. Okay? And this would transfer to the west and hit Italy, or somewhere very close, the Adriatic Sea, possibly the boot heel of Italy, but right along the plate boundary, 3.6 to 4.6, and that would happen within 48 hours from these 2 simultaneous deep earthquakes. All right, and we're going by, again, what they're showing us on the feed. So there could be other earthquakes striking that are totally throwing this off, and I'm ignorant at this point because of the lack of earthquake information being made available, that it's going to be almost impossible for me to actually assemble this data if they're going to be doing this kind of stuff. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying that it's going to become a real task for me to try and get you guys the information. And not only that, when I show this list, like when I show the seismologist list, the first thing everybody does is question me. Oh, Dutch, how do you know that's real? Oh, Dutch, how do you say it? It's not showing on the map. Why are they not showing it? That's what everybody else asks me. I don't know. I don't know what their political motivations are. But everybody immediately questioned me yesterday, or the last couple days, when the 5.4 hit down in the Adriatic Sea, down off the coast of Monopoly in Italy. 5.4 hit. I'm showing the stations. How many was it? 19 stations reported it. Several different networks reported it. It didn't make it onto the feed. It didn't make it onto the map. I believe they were trying to just stop public panic because of the big earthquake that had already hit. And instead of just, accepting the data for what it was in front of us, I got multiple messages from multiple people telling me that I was trying to scare people. And proved, and I go, what are you talking about? I'm trying to scare people. I'm showing you science data. It's right here in front of your face. I'm not making it up. I'm reading the station list off to you, right? And then people say, oh, it's just a mistake. And I said, how can 19 stations make the same mistake? As a science lover, I want to hear it. How do 19 different stations make the same magnitude mistake? Right? Well, everybody denied it. Not everybody, but a lot of people denied it. This is the 5.4 the other day in Italy, guys. All right, down here at the boot heel of Italy. It struck off the east coast of Italy, out about 30 kilometers out to sea, so nobody felt it. But after everybody questioned that, I talked about it for about 2 hours. I told everybody, look, if a 5.4 struck there, you're going to know it because the central Italy is going to swarm next, and it should see a similar sized earthquake. Everybody said, are you sure? That's really issuing a panic for the area. And I said, look, it'll go up to 5.4. It'll strike up to the west-northwest at the swarm location. Then the 5.4 hit the swarm location. They downgraded it, upgraded it, downgraded it, upgraded it. They ultimately went with a 5 for the whole night. And then finally they downgraded it again. Finally, the last word on it was 4.8. It went 5.4, 4.5, 5.4, 5.0, 5.2, 5.0, 4.8, and then they left it. I mean, that's insane. So, the 5.4 in the Tyrrhenian Sea caused the 5.4 later in the day in central Italy. And that's how we know the 5.4 in the Tyrrhenian, or in the Adriatic Sea, earlier in the day, I should say. That's what led to it. Now, whether or not they show it to you on a map, that's up for a seismologist debate, apparently. So, you know, again, I'm a YouTube video maker. I can show you this stuff at a moment's notice, and they don't like that. They've made that information hard to get to on purpose. Not just the Europeans, the USGS too. It's like a closed science club. It really is. And they call it gatekeeping. This is called gatekeeping. I have a video about meteorologists talking about wanting to gatekeep the information for meteorology. That they don't want the general public parsing over weather data because the public might come to different conclusions that the meteorologists do, and they don't want a conflict in the message being sent out. That's for weather. I got it in a conference here in the States saying that. They want to gatekeep the information. Well, the same thing's going on, and gatekeeping is when you have a group of people who control the flow of information and what's said and what's determined. And anybody who goes outside of that, it's like trying to go around the gatekeeper on an ancient medieval fort. That you'll get shot, you'll get taken out, you'll get thrown in the moat, whatever, if you try to circumvent that gatekeeper. And they want to be the ones because they feel that they have earned it because they went to school. Because, you know what I mean? Like, this is crazy. So as a scientific researcher myself, I throw out that gatekeeper information, and I want you guys to see what's beyond the gate. And we make our determinations, and I show you how the world of science really works, which is that there's a lot of personal choices being made by scientists who masquerade it as being science. So, drink your earthquake juice, smear it on the wall, you know, twirl in your chair 4 times, get out your crystal ball, and then you'll be able to start forecasting earthquakes just like I can. Oh boy, oh boy. All right, so that's our little lecture for today, and I hope everybody's doing good. I hope you've had a good, relaxing 24 hours in Italy. As we told you, the swarm would be quieting down. You could sleep easy last night. Hope you did. And you could rest easy today with the topping out at 4.3, which apparently it did. And today it's quieted down with little activity back to the east. But these 2 new deeper earthquakes there, let us know, next 48 hours, you're going to see it pick back up again. Deep earthquakes lead to shallower, larger earthquakes, 1 to 2 magnitudes larger. If you get off with just a 3.6 or a 3.7, you'll be lucky. We need a little luck at this point. But, you know, again, deep earthquakes cause 1 to 2 magnitudes larger, so 3.6 to 4.6 off these new earthquakes here. The dramatic lack of earthquakes across Iran, Afghanistan, India, Nepal, Myanmar. Let's take a look at the last week. Take a look at this, guys. Here's the last 5 days, just like over in Japan. You notice like there's like 1 earthquake. Then we go down 7 days ago and you can see the last cluster. This is the last cluster that caused Italy to swarm. I'm glad you can see it on the map here now. This is 7 days ago. So go back 6 and 7 days, and this occurred in the Mideast, which was followed by movement, excessive movement in South Europe. So the relation between the earthquakes in the Mideast and the earthquakes in South Europe is definite. But look what's happened since then. Mideast earthquakes died out, which caused the European earthquakes to die out. The line was cut. The conveyor belt was shut off. How else do we want to call it? The railroad, the line was broken. The cars can't travel down it. But that's changing right now. Look at the clusters over the past 3 days in the West Pacific. This is going to translate out, and already is translating out, to the West. There's a maybe 4,000 mile stretch here that is yet to move. When it does, it will move over towards Europe, and you will see a new increase in South Europe. How many days? We're looking at 48 hours from now. 2 days. So where does that put us? It's 2 p.m. my time now, which means it's like, what, 8 or 9 p.m. over in Italy? So tomorrow night at 9 p.m. is 24 hours. This is Italy time. So tomorrow night at 9 p.m. is 24 hours. And Monday night at 9 p.m. is 48 hours. So by Monday night at 9 p.m. Italy time, we should see this increase in activity finally reach over to the doorsteps of Italy. And there'll be new activity down in Turkey and Greece based upon these deep earthquakes over here and the spreading out. So by Monday night, I should be back on here talking to you about what to watch for, issuing a warning, maybe even possibly talking about Italy already swarming. So that's 2 days from now that you have to prepare. Tomorrow would be the day you'd want to start, looking around the house again, figure out the areas in the house that might be damaged, take things off shelves, that kind of stuff. And we're going right back into the swarm location. So the chances of it striking anywhere else in Italy right now is slim because this area is still moving. Hasn't settled down since August. There was that one lull. There was the one lull of 5 days before this last 6.6. But really the swarm, it just keeps going and going and going. Every time new pressure comes in, the swarm kicks back up. So we already have 2 deep earthquakes there to worry about, but really 48 hours from now, the 5s are going to roll across. And you'll see Mideast get struck again, Saudi Arabia off the coast get struck again, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, maybe even Iraq. But again, we're talking about the Middle East getting struck in the next few days. We're also going to see that earthquake that I talked about over here at Bangladesh. So the 5.1 here will go up and over to the west, and we'll see spilling over pressure hitting the Middle East. Okay? That should be by tomorrow. The Middle East should start moving by tomorrow, and then by 48 hours from now, it'll be on the doorstep of Italy again. Okay? Oh boy. Anything else going down? Yeah, guys, by the way, a Midwest was struck by a nice little swarm of earthquakes today. Now, we told you guys in Oklahoma by Saturday I would be reporting about a return of earthquakes. Well, check it out. Topping out near 4.0, 3.7 struck. And let's go ahead and open up a display capture one more time for us to go take a look at the magnitudes on this. Take a look at this. Here's our 3.7. And look down the list. Look what was detected, guys. We go anywhere from 3 to 3.9. Here's another 3.9, 3.9, 3.7. The low ends are throwing us off on the low part. 4.3, 4, 4.1, 4.3, 4.1, 4.2. Multiple mid 3s, upper 3s, 3.9s. Back into the 4s, 4.1. Keep going down the list, man. There's like so many 4s detected. All right? So, a 4 struck in Oklahoma. Is anybody shocked? 3.8, 4.0 struck on the West Coast just a couple days ago. Right along the West Coast. Let's show that to you. There it is. 3.8, and then followed by a 3.8. Oh, yeah. By the way, there's that 4.5. Okay, so, 3.8 followed by 3.7s in the Midwest, which, again, guys, we know this. It loses a little momentum, but we started with a 4 on the West Coast, and we're seeing a 4 in the Midwest. That's what it is. It is what it is. You can take the station list and determine for yourself. Central America, this is interesting too. Now, we warned the area down near South Mexico at Guatemala, right? Well, check that out. South area near Guatemala was struck. Now, also, off the coast of Mexico, we talked near the Gulf of California, and I don't know what happened to those earthquakes. They were on there earlier. I'll have to go pull them for tonight's update at 10 p.m. Mexican agency has a few of them. But look along the coast of Mexico, guys. Swarms breaking out all across Central America. This means activity pushing to the east in the next day. South America, our swarm location where the 6.0 struck, still swarming 100 miles off of Copihu, and a new earthquake sending pressure over to the east, a 5.3, striking the South Pacific rise. That's going to push over towards South America as well. This might even be the straw that broke the camel's back and cause our earthquake down here at the South Sandwich Islands finally. And again, we're watching for a large earthquake to strike down here at the South Sandwich Islands where nobody lives. It won't cause a wave. It'll take however long it takes. I'm not putting a time. It's not a big deal. We're not putting a time limit on it. Maybe 72 hours I put on it a day ago, 2 days ago. So we might be going into day 3 of the watch. But a 5.3 coming in from the west is going to push right over to the east. Okay? And magnitude-wise on that, like I said, guys, we were looking for a 6.5 to strike down here. Well, way off, okay, like hugely off. So we were looking for a 6.5 to strike here, and instead it struck right next to the volcano here. And we talked about that last night and how that's going to lead to a new earthquake down at the South Sandwich, and it most likely got caught up on the magma chamber at the volcano itself. That would explain why the pressure hasn't transferred down to the southeast. But again, not a big deal. At least for me, it's not that big of a deal. I don't know. Some people are probably like freaking out over everything that's said. Okay, so much love, everybody. Thank you for being part of this. And if you're in Italy, again, you topped out at 4, but what can I say? They're not showing it to us. Highest they're taking it is mid-range 3. That's your agency. I can't do anything about it, guys. I wish there was something I could do to make it all better. Whoa, whoops. That was weird. Okay. All right, guys. So everybody else, much love in here. It is, let's see, 2:07 p.m. Central Time, and I'm done with the update. I want you guys to have a good weekend and be safe. I'll be back in. Hey, William Passetti, what's up? Mary, everybody in chat. Hello. Ciao. Tanto amore. Hope you're doing good. I'll be in chat in just a little bit, guys, so I'll come in and start typing up. I'm going to go refill my earthquake juice. You know, just go smear it on the wall.